In our last two sessions, I discussed the guidelines that govern the behavior of men generally, and also the specific rules that govern, rather strictly, the behavior of men in restrooms. There are no penalties for violation of these rules, commandments really, because violation is simply inconceivable. Boys are taught these rules from an early age, and they don't even realize they're learning them. Keep in mind that I was more than 40 years old before I even realized that all those years I hadn't been speaking in men's rooms. Recently, I was walking into a men's room at a theater, and right behind me was a boy about age 14, who in turn was followed by his younger brother, maybe 4 years old. They were talking to each other as they approached the men's room, but the moment that the 4-year-old boy's foot touched the threshold of that inner sanctum, his older brother put his finger to his lips and said, "Shh." In that moment, if I had asked the older boy why he was shushing his younger brother, I guarantee you he would not have known the answer. He would simply have known to his core that in that sacred place there should be no talking. A man's time in a restroom is no laughing matter. Many men will not even use a public restroom at all. Or they will walk into a restroom to be sure no one else is there before they will use it at all. I share all this not to be tawdry, but because it reveals so much about the nature of men. Most men are not even consciously aware of these rules, but they keep them anyway. Virtually no women are aware of this code of conduct, and yet it has a bearing on their understanding the behavior of the men they interact with every day. There's a point to all this. Women often blame their husbands for the lack of intimacy in their relationship. They get angry because their husbands or lovers or boyfriends aren't more communicative, more warm, more sensitive. But look at what we just learned from this tiny glimpse into the lives of men in just this one place. We learned that men have learned from the time they were very little boys that it's not all right to be open in their communication. And they learned that if they break that guideline, they open themselves up for criticism, ridicule, and pain. As I travel all over North America and describe typical male behaviors, restroom behavior being just one example, men all nod their heads in agreement. They remember these moments very well. Women shake their heads and think that I'm talking about another species. Actually, men and women are not so very different. They both have the same central need to be unconditionally loved. However, they do tend to react differently to the absence of real love. Women are taught to please other people and to earn their praise, which is one form of imitation love. Men are taught, above all, to avoid criticism and being laughed at. They protect themselves to maintain any sense of power and to ensure a feeling of safety, which are other forms of imitation love. Watch a group of second-grade boys as early as the second grade during recess, and you can see that they've already learned the traits that will make them men and that will make them unhappy for the rest of their lives. Girls in the second grade hold hands as they skip along. Boys never touch each other, except to hit each other or to interact in some form of athletic activity. Girls all through school will encourage each other during a game and help someone who's lagging behind. Boys laugh at and make fun of almost anyone who isn't proficient at a task or a sport. They choose the poor athletes last for their teams. They make fun of a boy who has anything at all different about him, an unusual last name, a speech impediment or accent, hair that's different, wears glasses, a body that's too short or fat, being too smart or dumb, and so on. The list is endless. So boys learn to stay as inconspicuous as possible. It's more important to avoid ridicule than it is to earn praise, although praise is still a desirable thing for boys and men. The point is that most men live in fear. We're afraid because we don't feel loved, and we're afraid we never will be. We're afraid people will see our flaws and will never care for us. That is why men usually fail to be intimate with their wives and others, not to intentionally deprive anyone of love. We can learn to change all that. We can learn to tell the truth about ourselves and find those who will unconditionally accept and love us. And with sufficient real love, fear vanishes, along with our getting and protecting behaviors. What's left is genuine happiness, and that's worth every effort we make to find it. It all changes with real love, because it's always about real love.